Hi, good morning. It's Jessie again, and I want to talk to you for a minute about discernment. Okay. Um, this morning I heard the church bells ringing, and being that I was brought up Catholic, I know automatically that those church bells ringing are an invitation to come to church. Okay. Um, I know this because of my experience growing up Catholic. I know that the church bells are an invitation, right? But I think this matters because God speaks, but because we don't know how he speaks or what it means when he speaks, we don't get the message that he's speaking to us, okay? So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how God speaks, okay? One of the ways that God speaks is by dropping an inspiration on you. You know, he gives you an unction. He, he gives you a desire. You know, the Bible tells us that he'll give us the desires of our heart. And what we don't realize sometimes is that he gives us the desires that we desire, that we ask for him. And in this way, we enter into a relationship with him, you know, and if we're able to grab hold of those desires, and even when they look impossible, you know, then we're able to walk in his will, you know, and he's quiet. You know, he doesn't say much. When you have God's approval, he doesn't say much to you, though sometimes he'll wake you with a song, you know. Sometimes he'll he'll drop a word of knowledge into you, like a prophetic word, and you'll say, how did I know that? I don't know how I knew that. I just know. You know, I have had a lot of those moments where I just know it's not my knowledge, it's my God. You know, and because I have that gift of being able to discern myself from Him, you know, I know when it's Him. You know, I know when He's speaking to me because it's things that I couldn't know or see on my own, and not only that, like how if I'm upset and I'm crying, and I'll ask God to take it away. You know, I'll ask God to change me. This is the relationship I have with God. You know, I don't cry out like David in the Bible often cried out to, you know, put the curse on my enemies and, you know, and be with me and establish me. But rather I cry out to God to, you know, take it away, to just make it stop. You know, I'll cry out to God for a lot of things, you know, to give me strength, to give me wisdom, to teach me how to walk out of this, to walk me out of this, you know. This is the things that I ask God for. And when I'm really, really upset, I'll just automatically go calm, you know. And it's not that I didn't feel as upset as I did, it's that God has stepped in and put his hand on me, and he's calmed my spirit so I feel at ease, and what was holding me doesn't really matter to me so much because I know his hand is on me, and because I know that he is God, because I know that my life is in his hands, and he's the determining factor on what happens to me, and where I go from here. You know, I know that nothing my enemy says, you know, defines my character. Nothing my enemy says can limit me if God's hand is on me. And I might not be walking very far. That's because God tells me to be still, because he's handling things, and it takes like a lot of patience with him, because if you know him, he only takes you as fast and as far as you can go without breaking you. You know, his will is that none of us be destroyed, you know. And if he took you to where he needed you to be, you know, in an instant, your vessel would crack, your body would break, you would not survive it, okay? But because he's gentle, you know, he's easy, you know, he only takes you as far as you can go without breaking you, you know. And so knowing that, it gives me patience in enduring the trials that I go through, because I know that my God is working on my enemies. You understand? I know that my God is speaking to them and showing them their error. And, the worst enemy in the world is one who has done wrong to you, because then they feel the need to cover themselves, and they will pursue you without mercy to paint you as deserving of the affliction that they put on you. But even then, God says, be still, because I'm going to work it out. you know when when you have enemies that are pursuing you without cause, with enemies that are picking up someone else's battle, who didn't have cause to begin with, or whose only cause was to cover themselves for the wrong that they did, then you really can't fight anybody, because when you try to fight somebody on it, you only make things worse. It gets much, much worse. And it's not worth it. And you'll see, as you fight them, you see your enemies multiply, because every enemy has an ally, and every ally has an ally, and ally. But when you stop fighting them, what God does is He castrates your enemies so that they can't multiply against you anymore. And then He can go and He can deal with them on what they've done, and all you have to do is stand still. And this is the way that God is. He'll tell you when He'll tell you before you get in the fire, don't do something, and if you don't listen, then you're going into the fire, But if you do listen, no fire will come to you. But even if you go into the fire, you're not going to get burned by the fire, because God is a God who promises to never leave or forsake you. You understand what I'm saying? Never, ever leave or forsake you. And He also says that whoever throws you in the fire is going to be the one that gets burned by the fire. Because as long as you stay wrapped in Him, He's your strong tower, your stronghold against the enemy. There's nothing they can do to you as long as you're with Him. And so understanding the nature of God is a big part of having a relationship with Him, because you can judge from the stories in the Bible, things in your life, and you could say, yeah, I can relate to that. God did that for me before. I had an experience like this before. I didn't know it was God then, but now I can see that this is His way. This is the way that He acts. He tells us, his greatest battle plan is not to pick up the sword and cut everybody down, but His greatest battle plan is just to thunder and shake and scare the people, to blow His mighty wind. And when His mighty wind blows and scares people, what He's really trying to do is breathe new life into people, to let them know, it's like the church bells ringing. It's like, come back to me. Just return to me. Repent of what you did. I'm sorry I didn't listen. This is my prayer all the time to God. This is what I repent of. I am sorry I didn't listen when You told me not to go somewhere. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I promise I'm going to listen from here on out. I don't care what I got invested in something. I will walk away from it if You say the words. God, I'm going to listen to You. I've learned my lesson. I know better now. This is how I talk to God, because I know how He is. He's not telling me don't go there because He's trying to punish me or hold me back from something. He's telling me don't go there because He wants to protect me from the enemy that's lying in wait there. And the enemy, while they may seem like they have no cause, the enemy doesn't need cause. They do it just because, they think they can. This is the way of the enemy. They will do whatever they can. And if they don't have cause, they'll drag up cause. They'll go all through your past, and they'll try to manipulate everything around you. And even when they don't find anything there, they'll build circumstance around you to make you look dirty. The enemy is a dirty, nasty, tricky beast. And you have to understand that when God is telling you don't go somewhere, you don't go somewhere, right? And that's when God's telling you the don'ts, that's when you're going to hear Him the loudest, because He doesn't really talk a lot, unless he's giving you a revelation that he wants you to proclaim out to the world. He's pretty quiet, okay? He says, you drive, I'll be with you, you know. He says he'll bless whatever you put your hand to. And this is the way God is. He'll bless you. He does it quietly because his voice thunders. You understand? God has a very stern voice. And I don't know, I've never been afraid of it. And maybe it's because I had an ornery daddy that I loved very much, you know. But God's voice can be scary for some. You know, he can knock you on your butt if you don't know that this is the voice of God. Yeah, it comes in softly, but it's also very stern, and you know that it's him, you know. So God is quiet, and as long as he's quiet, you know that he's with you. But should you go into something you're not supposed to go into, he says don't. He says don't go there, you know. Stop, don't do it, you know. This is the way that God operates, you know. And if you know this, then you'll find your walk with him a lot easier. And not only that, but you'll be able to stand in the identity of who you are as a child of God a lot easier. It's a lot easier to stand in your identity as a child of God, as a Christian, when you know that the God that you serve, when you have a relationship with him, you know. And this is what God wants to bring into the world, is his relationship. But we gotta let him in, because if we don't let him in, he's gonna shake us loose until we do let him in, you know. So our it's not a question of if we'll bow, but when and how much we have to suffer before we bow, you know, because God is God. He is the Lord on the throne, you know. He is the Lord of Lords. He's the King of Kings. He moves all. He even speaks to the enemy, you know. So you have to understand that in discerning him, you know, the first thing that you got to know that he is, you know, like the Bible says, I am. He is, you know. So that's the first thing you need to know. Then you need to know how he speaks and when he speaks, and you need to learn of his ways, you know. And when you learn these things, you'll find, you'll look back in your past, and you'll understand, oh, that's why I did that, or oh, that's why I did that. You know, I'm a high school dropout who graduated with honors in the undergrad, you know, and God led me through that. I dropped out of high school my freshman year. I went to an elite university and graduated with honors. That was all God, you know. And when I went back for my master's, I was going back and trying to get out of a bad situation. I was pressing through and trying to do what God had me do the first go round, you know. And I was wrong for that. We should never pick up an instruction from the past just because it worked before, but we should always seek out the Lord for a new instruction on how to get out. That was where I made my mistake. Because, yeah, he was with me. I was driving, but he told me to get out, and I didn't, you know. So we gotta learn to discern God, you know, and where he's at and where he's taking us, you know. Because the thing about God and his purpose and his plan, he's got a purpose and a plan for all of us. And our task is to get to it, but it's not just to get to it, but to walk with him in it, and go in the direction that he wants you to go. Because when you got a big task, you can't do it by yourself. You know, you can't do it on your own. It's not going to come through conventional means, you know. It's going to come through his spirit, you know, not by power, not by might, by his spirit. You overcome, you know. And there are a lot of things you got to overcome when you're coming up from nothing, you know. And then the big part of what you got to overcome is yourself, and you really got to do that, because only he can change you in the ways that you need to be changed in order to accomplish what you need to accomplish, right? So I hope that I've enlightened you a little bit on how to discern God, and kind of give you an introduction into how he acts. And I hope that it blesses you to know that it's a process that we all have to go through. And I'm willing to share what I got. All right? Have a good day.